Hello. I'd like to continue our conversation about inputs versus outputs, about focusing on the things that you do rather than the results that you get. In his famous book, First Things First, written many years ago by Covey, he talked about starting with the end in mind. And the idea was to identify what really mattered and then work back to what you need to do right now to make that happen. Like the dominoes, like lining up your dominoes, starting with the biggest one, then put the next one, smaller one, the smaller one, until you got up to the one you had to knock down today. And the model goes something like this. It starts with purpose. And you know we've mentioned purpose quite a bit in the last few videos. This notion of purpose, and purpose leads to priority, that you can only know what is really important by knowing what it is you're trying to accomplish, what your purpose is. And then by focusing on the priority that matters right now, the thing that needs to be done right now, you get productivity. And the 80-20, I'm sure you're all familiar with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle. And the 80-20 principle states that we get 80% of our results from 20% of our effort. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, maybe it's a 90-10, maybe it's a 70-30, it doesn't really matter. The fundamental principle, I think, is sound, that we get the majority of our outcomes or results from a small number of inputs. And the secret is to know which inputs. And Gary Keller, in his great book, The One Thing, he just makes, I think, a really funny point. He says, if you have 25 things in your to-do list and you apply the 80-20 principle to it twice, 20% of 25 and then 20%, you end up with one item to do, one thing to do, which theoretically should be the one thing that will get you the maximum result. So think about this notion of purpose, priority, productivity. I mean, the word purpose comes from Latin pur, P-U-R, for fire. So this idea of fire, what energizes, what excites you, what gives your life meaning, that you, if I'm doing this, it gives your life meaning. Or equally, what brings you into this thing called the flow, where you can concentrate for extended periods of time without any sort of awareness of the external world. You're so engaged in something. Because when you're engaged in something like this, it's easy. It's easy to do it, and typically the outcome, the results that you get are significant. So think of starting big and going small. So saying to yourself something like, okay, what's my purpose? What am I trying to accomplish? That's big picture, it's way out there. And then ask yourself, okay, what's the one thing, again, getting Gary Keller's question from his book, The One Thing. What's the one thing I can do such by doing it, everything else will be even easier or unnecessary in, say, 36 months, in 12 months, in 90 days today. And then identifying these things that actually matter. We fill up our lives with a lot of detritus. You know, it's amazing the way we can fill up space and time, Googling, looking at YouTube, reading things that we're not really interested in, watching TV. It's quite incredible. And yet, we all have things that we want to accomplish that we're very, very clear. This is really important to me. This is meaningful for me. This is what I want to accomplish. And what we need to focus on are the inputs. And this is just a little process for thinking about it. So think about this thing: purpose, priority, productivity. Purpose, what's my pour, my fire? What is it that excites me, that engages me, that I want to accomplish? What are the priorities? What are the list of items, the things I need to do over a time frame to make that happen? Drill right back to right now and say, what's the number one priority right now, the thing I need to do right now to make this happen? And then focus your attention on doing those things, on those inputs to get the results, ultimately, that you're looking for. One last comment on this, just before I go. Don't focus too much on the outcome in terms of, even when you're thinking about the thing to do. The meaning and the value should be in the doing. So make sure that when you're doing whatever you're doing, the meaning and value is in the doing, not in the outcome or the result. Otherwise, you might find that when the outcome result is something different than what you expected, the meaning and value and the motivation and all the rest that comes with that vanishes. So make sure you look for meaning in what you're actually doing, that you enjoy the actual doing. I mean, for example, these videos, I actually enjoy doing them. I enjoy doing the webinars we do. I actually get value out of doing them myself, irrespective of whether or not they create anything that I'm actually trying to create with them out there in the marketplace. So think about this, try to get value out of what you're doing as you're doing it. I think it's an important item to think about as well.